The upcoming general elections have energized a number of women across the country. 583 women candidates are in the running for House seats and another 60 for the Senate in November. Our next guests have been longtime advocates of women running for public office, and no doubt they're pleased to see these numbers. They've helped create these numbers. The Hill staff writer, Aris Folley, has some esteemed guests to talk to. Aris is great. Take it away.
Thanks, Steve. So Jennifer Carroll is the first black female Republican elected to the Florida legislature and the first black woman to become Florida's lieutenant governor. She is now the spokesperson for Maggie's List, a political action committee focused on electing conservative women to federal public office. And Susannah Wellford is founder and CEO of Running Start, a nonpartisan nonprofit inspiring young women to run for political office. Welcome to you both.
Thank you.
Okay, so my first question to both of you is, why do you think it's so important for young girls to get involved in politics?
Oh my gosh, well, can I start and just say,
yes.
Women Start is built around the concept that women don't see themselves as political leaders. And when you poll women who are in their 50s, who are in great professional careers, who'd be the perfect people to run, women say they don't feel qualified. So Running Start has built an army of young women who we've been teaching them and training them that they are qualified, they do have what it takes, and we're trying to normalize women's leadership for them so that they know they can grow up and run for office.
Well, we at Maggie's List started this political action committee back in 2009 when we saw conservative women not having an organization dedicated to supporting conservative women running for Congress. So besides supporting our female candidates running for the Congress, we are also doing training, educating, and mentoring, as well as electioneering, to inform and educate women that they do belong at the table, that they do have a voice that could be heard sooner rather than later. What we were seeing is women at a later age entering into politics because of an issue, because of critical mass, whether it's the Mothers Against Drunk Driving or when something really critical happened to impact their lives. And our cast of candidates this year in 2020, the year of the vision 2020, that we're seeing younger and a more diverse group of women that we have endorsed across the country with Maggie's List. And they bring a bandwidth of experience, knowledge, and diversity, not only in their race and their gender, but their thought, that with their experience that they bring to the table, and even the leadership in the Congress have had to acknowledge the bandwidth that our candidates are bringing that will benefit the American people. And what we're seeing with our younger ladies is not about politics, it's about the people. It's about bringing great solutions to the table that will enhance opportunities for the people that are electing them to office, as well as the sustainability of our country.
Right. And so in 2018, we saw a record number of women run for Congress. And this year, we've even surpassed those numbers. I'd love to know, Jennifer, if you could start, what do you think this means for the country in terms of gender progress? And do you think that this trend is the new norm?
Well, we would only hope that this is the new norm, because we are paving the way and showcasing that women don't have to wait until their turn or to be told or asked to run for office and be part of the political process. This is we're celebrating the 100th anniversary of women's suffrage. And if this cannot be a benchmark to showcase the engagement that women should have in our political process, I don't know what else will. And I believe that our young ladies, in seeing this dynamic, will get it in the back of their heads that besides professional sports to the corporate world, to even if they want to stay at home, you can be engaged in politics without running for office. There are many organizations, nonprofit as well as political organizations women can get involved with to make that change at their local level, state level, or national level, to bring about a better solution and better governance so that all of our people can prosper from the ideas that come forward. So I think that we have already set the stage and opened up the floodgates. That is no returning back now. We have set a new mark that women can be comfortable in this arena.
And can I just jump in and say,
Yes.
I absolutely agree with Jennifer. I'm so excited that, 2018 was fantastic. And then here we are, 2020, we're beating that number. It is incredible. It's exactly the progress we want to see. And yet, if you look at the numbers, the women who are running for Congress this cycle, they're still only about 28% of total candidates. And so even if all of those women win their races, we're still nowhere near parity in Congress. So I think that we can't forget, like, we are making progress, but our work is nowhere near done. And the most important thing we can do as organizations is to work to get women to see themselves as candidates, to understand why it's so important to run for the reasons that Jennifer was just talking about, and then to run for office when they have that opportunity.
Well, to Susan's point, I'd like to add that for our female candidates, at least on the conservative side, need to have money to engage in a viable campaign, because money is a mother's milk of politics, is the bottom line. Our male counterparts know how to engage in that very well and have been very successful in planting the seeds many years prior to running for office. So they may start at local levels and work their way up, but they have developed a network of financial supporters to engage them early on to support them when they run for higher office. We as women need to do the same thing. We need to engage in that networking, and as a political action committee that we have with Maggie's List, we need the women that we're supporting to be elected to office, and when they get elected to office, to not forget that they have a role and responsibility to mentor others as well, to grab each one reach one. That's my motto, that they should reach back and educate and mentor other young ladies to pull them up and help pave the way for them, as well as support organizations like Maggie's List that have been there for them when no one else was, to help us raise the capital needed to help other women and also to help them in their governance. Once they get elected, the battle doesn't end, because they're going to have issues internally that as women, we in whatever organization that we enter where it's male dominance, we will have our issues to deal with. And we need the organizations to come and support us as well as we run for re-election, or we're trying to pass our bills and measures that will benefit the people at hand, that we have to understand we're not alone, that we are in this together, and
Right.
we need to reach back and support others to come along as well.
Right. And also a big reason why this year we're surpassing those numbers that we saw in 2018 is because of this huge jump that we're seeing right now in Republican women House candidacies. So, I mean, Jennifer, I'd love to know, why do you think there's been such a large increase this year?
Well, I believe part of the increase, I would attribute it to Maggie's List. We were very aggressive early on. We have in 36 states co-chairs that are on the ground in various states to see out those candidates that are running, that are viable, that have the credentials, that have the ability, that have the opportunity to win. And we got engaged in the primary elections early on, which is something we didn't do before, because again, we were told previously, stay out of primary elections, get into a general election. But what we were seeing is that our endorsed candidates weren't able to make it out of the primary election to even compete in the general election, both financially and to have the bandwidth of support from the grassroots organization, which you need the money to do. So we got engaged very early in most of our endorsed candidates in the primary, and that's where we were able to have greater success, to have our largest number of endorsed candidates come through the primary and to be competitive now in the general election.
Right. And so, Susannah, I know your organization works to train and inspire young women to run for political office. I'd love to know, do you think that there are any challenges or hurdles that exist today for women running for office that just don't exist for their male counterparts in 2020?
Oh my gosh, where do we begin? Yeah, I definitely do. I think that if you are male and if you're white and if you're older, then and if you're Christian, college educated, like you fit inside that small inner circle of power. And everybody expects you to be a leader, right? And then every circle that you go outside of that inner circle, it's harder to get elected. It's harder to have people see you as a leader, to take you seriously. So the young women who we train, we start really early. We start at age 13, 14, and we are trying to get in their minds that even though there are not a lot of people in power who look like them, there are not a lot of people who are going to see them as powerful people, that if they believe in their issue, if they have a reason that they want to run, then they can get into leadership, and that their voice is so incredibly needed. Because, we always tell people, if you don't see yourself in power right now, then we especially need you to get in there, because your voice is not being represented. So it is absolutely harder for young women to run. It's harder for LGBTQIA women. It's definitely harder for BIPOC women. But we need their voices now more than ever. And I was so heartened to see that about half of the women running this time around are women of color. So I think we're making really great progress, but that message needs to be loud and clear to young women that you can do this. You're going to make huge change once you get in if you do this, and we all need to help them to see things that way and to run.
Well, thank you so much, both of you, for sharing your time with us today. It looks like we've come to an end for this panel.
Thank you. Hopefully people will go to maggieslist.org and check out our organization and our endorsed candidates.
Yes.
Yeah, and go to runningstart.org too. Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you. Thank you so much.